Here's what I would do. You have nothing to say. Nobody has anything to say.
I do.
Yeah, that's good, if you just
I do not.
force everybody to.
I don't follow the crowds. Let's put it that way.
I mean, that's all you hear. And you cannot turn that TV on without people saying, Obama does this, or the Republicans did this, or that. That's just, it shows your ignorance, how ignorant we are as a society. Because none of that matters, what anybody else does. All that matters is what would you do? And not once, not once will you hear that on TV.
Oh.
Turn it on right now and see if somebody
No,
No,
that's
says. Turn it on and see if
scary.
Warren Buffett says, well, here's what I would do. I think that instead of spending all this money, we should blah, 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 blah. No, never.
We shouldn't
Would you
overnight
listen
say
to
we're
this
gonna
Hannity,
change
Cohen,
things
or
that
Rush
they
Limbaugh
want.
kind of people, whatever, they'll say, well, he's spending dozens of billions of dollars and stuff like that. And you think, never once will you hear one of those people say, here's what I would do. Never once.
Yeah, well,
And so, none of it matters. None of it matters what anybody does. It's self-correcting.
Well,
All that does is show the ignorance of the people that are on those shows or the people that are talking about
you
other
don't
people.
change overnight. That's the worst thing anybody thought of. That's what Mr. O wants to do. He wants us to change tomorrow, yesterday.
No, he doesn't. That's what I mean. That's the kind of ignorance I'm talking about.
What's it?
People call in. They're talking about this healthcare thing now, which is the big thing. And my buddy and I the other night were talking about this. They said all you got to do is sit down and just be calm for a couple of minutes and say this. Look, everybody's saying we got to overhaul this healthcare. Why are we rushing into it? We've been doing that for 61 years now. They've been trying to overhaul this healthcare for 61 years. We know now that if you don't do something, if you don't change something, in probably 2 years, we will all be totally bankrupt. Because your drugs, your doctors, these medical bills, nobody can afford any of it now. In 1 or 2 more years, the entire country is going to be bankrupt. So you could say, well, let's take more time, or let's not spend $1 trillion doing this. You could do that. And in 2 years, nobody will have any money whatsoever. That is an answer. Or you can do something, and maybe it'll turn out wrong. But at least it's something, and it can't be any worse than what's going to absolutely positively happen now.
yeah, well, nobody's.
And it's a pretty simple thing if you can think at all. But to talk about other people and say they're doing this, which has no bearing on anything, what would you do? All I want to know is what would you do?
I wouldn't raise it tomorrow. Leave it like it is right now.
Well, if you leave it like it is, you will not be able to afford anything in a year. We know that. We know that's happening. That's why everybody's
No, I
going
don't
bankrupt
know
now.
that.
Why do you think all these employers and everything are going bankrupt, all these businesses?
Because
They
he's-
cannot afford the health coverage now that everybody's got. They can't afford it. So
No,
they're going
not
bankrupt. They're
everybody's
saying, we
got it.
can't afford the spiraling health care, which we used to pay, which you're getting paid now, and he's getting paid, and I'm getting paid by our employers,
Right.
which paid into it. They can't afford it now. So now what happens? Do you stop all medical health care to everybody in the world? That's an answer. You can have nothing, or you can try to fix it. You can spend a lot of money and try to fix it and try to get the greed out of the drug companies and the doctors and the hospitals. At least it's an attempt to do that. And for anybody to criticize that is just absolute
If
ignorance.
Mr. O,
That's got nothing to do with Mr. O. He's not the one responsible for this. He wants to help you,
I want
and
you
we're
to-
too stupid to see
Never
it.
Jane,
shut up. I know what's going on, Jerry.
you
No, you
don't know
don't.
what's
No,
going
you
on,
don't.
Mr. O wants
Jane.
to change it tomorrow. And
You're
I'm
like
saying,
everybody
don't
else in the
do
country.
anything. Just walk away
For
from the health.
61 years, Mother.
Nobody knows what's
61
going on.
years they've been trying to fix the health care. It's
They
got nothing to
cannot
do with
fix
Mr.
it
O.
this way.
Why not?
First of all these girls are having their babies.
No, that's got nothing to do with
Oh,
it.
it does.
They're
That's the
different.
kind of stuff you get.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what you see on TV. That's the Hannitys and the Rush Limbaughs and stuff, because they can't think
We
through
would
to the
start
problem.
by cutting Medicaid. No Medicaid if you're going to get help from the government.
Or you don't get any, then you don't. You guys have been
It's
dead
just
for.
like
You guys
that,
have been
look-
dead for 10 years. Then, if that's the case,
We don't
Politics,
have Medicaid.
you have
politics
Medicare.
is just like the
There's two different
that
things.
example I give you of the stock market experts, quote, and this would apply with, no matter what subject you got in every house, in every city, state, country, there's one thing that prevails.
Me.
And I'll give you all the tests, if this is news to you, Jerry's probably heard this before, but I think it's worth repeating, that if you turn this on here and use that slip of paper or go over there and say, I'm going to listen and mark mark down every word, every, what do you call it when you put three words together?
Sentence.
Syllable?
Not the total sentence, but segment of your speech. Every word or every segment, never once, oh no, I want you to write down every segment of their speech that simply means, I don't know. First of all, we turn television on so we can learn things about the stock market. First thing you're going to hear are these words. I don't know. Oh, they don't say I don't know, but they'll say, I think the stocks need this or that.
Yeah, it's all
Well,
presumption. It's all presumption. Perhaps, maybe this could happen.
Maybe,
Nobody
it
knows.
could be, and then after you get this big list, which I've performed many times, and you read through that and show it to somebody, and here's a guy on television, he's the best dressed guy you ever saw, pretty good personality, just having a good time with all these smiling buddies of his. But you say, gentlemen, I'll tell you what I did last night. You and you were giving speeches, and here's what you said. Then you start naming these things that Jerry remembers I told him. Like maybe, suppose, it could be that the stock market could go up, but on the other hand, there's problems with Victrolas and this stuff. In other words, and then after you're done, you say, here's what you said, guys. Tell me a positive statement. And as pertains, this is the punchline, as pertains to the stock market, which they're trying to give you some tips to which are going to go up or down, they never once will say, this stock is going to go down.
I know that.
This stock will never go up. Will never go up, or it will go up. Any positive statement they will never make because they don't know.
When you say,
That's
I
the
don't
key.
know, if I don't know something, all
No,
right.
that's not true, Eva, sorry, but you say a lot of things that indicate to those of us with a working mind, indicates that you do not know certain things.
Why don't you take care of your knees?
My knees,
Yeah,
I have no problem with my knees.
you don't,
See,
you have trouble going up those three steps right
Well, it
there.
has nothing
See,
to
this
do
is
with,
this is what I mean.
has nothing to do with my knees. You don't know how to focus.
That's
on
why I'm
those
here
things.
usually a half hour.
But you have one thing in your favor. You got a reason for not knowing anything.
It's true.
You got a reason.
I do not say my health is holding you back, because it isn't.
Just write down, here's what you could do. You could pass out a yellow tablet to everybody in the United States and then just say, what would you do?
Yeah,
at the top.
That's a good
I
thing.
told you already.
You know what, Jerry?
Cut Medicaid off
Yeah.
completely. You do not give it to a single mother. You have 2 kids, a father and a mother should be in every family.
All right, and then here's my question. And what do you do with all those other people that,
Those people have to get along on what they can
well,
make
they don't
themselves.
have, they don't have a job.
They
They don't
can
have a
get.
job.
I get free so much.
When
free
they walk into the
supplementary.
hospital and they go, my appendix just burst.
I
you
had,
just send it- do you-
I had insurance for years.
No, I'm not talking about you. You said get rid of it all. So let's assume everybody doesn't have any insurance and they walk in, whoever they are, it doesn't matter whether they have
Well, take
parents,
care of them,
not
like
parents
we
or
used to.
whatever, and they walk in there. And they're single and they live by themselves and they have a kid, and their kid just got bit
father's
by
supposed
their
to-
kid got bit by a rattlesnake.
Well, the father's
What do you do?
supposed to be there right
No, the
there.
father's not there though. What
Well,
would you do?
I would
Yellow
holler.
tablet. What would you do?
Shut up.
There you go.
No.
No answers. Nobody has any answers to that. Everybody's got answers to. Here's what I would do about the illegals.
I'm
The people
saying
that were
you-
so worried about coming across. Here's a prime example I gave my buddy last night. We're so worried about the people coming across the border, these illegals who work their butts off some 16, 20 hours a day for less than $3 an hour to merely support their families. Legal or illegal, they shouldn't be illegal, we should track them down, whatever. Fix that. But nobody gives cause, at least I haven't heard it, nobody gives cause to these people, these like anti-abortions people, that they're so worried that somebody's going to have an abortion. So now you talk about the the mothers that have kids. So now you have all of these people that would not have abortions otherwise. All these kids running around that are going to be indigent, and they're going to be trouble in schools, and they're going to be a blight on society, and they're going to use your money in Medicare and Medicaid. But nobody mentions that when it comes to Medicaid. That's okay because we're all anti-abortionists.
No.
But nobody, but
I'm
these
for
hardworking
abortion,
individuals
but
that come
we
across, all they want to do is better their lives. That come
Okay.
across from Mexico. Those people should be shot.
This is right.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Take me now.
You
Get my mail.
mentioned those words. What are you going to do about it? The only one thing you should not do about it is try to convince the world of everything like we're all doing here, standing here today.
No, I don't.
You are.
None of us
That's
know.
why I quit
none of
voting
us
5
know-
years ago.
None of us know the answer to these questions.
No.
But if you should,
You don't
you
listen.
should, you
That's
should
That's
be
true.
That's
able
the problem.
You're not allowed to kick a person.
I
No.
bet you everybody,
They kill
First of all-
horses, don't they? There's a
Yellow
they made a
tablet. They
movie.
pass out the yellow tablets to everybody in the United States. What
first
would you
of
do
all,
across the top?
abortions is a private affair between you and
Well,
the
that's
girl.
got nothing to do. I don't even want to get into that
No,
argument.
I'm
The
telling
point
you.
is that people like you, or people that criticize these Mexicans for coming in, because all they want to do is better their own lives and have
We
a
can't
family.
afford them. We cannot afford them.
Okay, so you're the person I'm talking about. On the other hand, probably, I'm just guessing, maybe not you, but the people that say, oh, we shouldn't have abortions. So now you have all of these illegitimate kids or whatever, because we don't have abortions, that are going to be a blight on society and cost the country bazillions of dollars. Not to mention the crime and everything else that goes on. But that's okay to take your money. I don't want my tax dollars going to those people.
I don't either.
So I don't want the government being involved in that. So that should be a pretty easy thing for any president to come and say, we're
Right.
not going to get involved in abortions, period. Deal with it on your own.
We should
That's
have
your own
people that
problem.
live
You guys
over.
can fight forever on that, whether you like it or don't like it. But I said, all those abortion people, none of those people, Mike and I've had this conversation many times, none of those anti-abortionist people that you see protesting on TV are protesting the war, that we're over there killing people over there. Well, if you're so concerned about life, why is it okay to kill those people over there? Why is it okay to kill the people in the prisons,
Somebody
you know,
said
the
last year-
capital punishment? Why is it okay to kill, if you eat a hamburger like you just ate out here at Arby's, why is it okay? This has always been my question. Who gets to decide, apparently not me, if you can kill a horse, but it's bad it's totally intolerable to take life, so they say. But they don't really mean that. Church people that preach that, they'll say, oh, life should be valued above all else. But they don't mean it, because if they did mean it, they wouldn't kill a horse. They wouldn't eat vegetables, because that's life. They wouldn't scrub their teeth because they're killing bacteria. So apparently, it's only human life.
You don't know.
You're not listening to me. It's only human life that is valued. So everything that's below that on the chain, they're somehow inferior to that. And my question is, if there's some God that says, well, a human life is important, but none of those other lives, I want a different God. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a lot better person than that. And that's pretty much the argument with churches and things.
I'm going to give you